What's going on, Picks and Roll family? It's Monday Night Football, September 22nd, and we've got Lions versus Ravens on deck. A primetime showdown that's loaded with stars. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button right now. We're dropping daily breakdowns to help you build your roll. Shout out to our partners Betr, Underdog, and Outlier for giving us the tools to cash these plays. Quick recap from yesterday. Our WNBA semifinal plays went 2-1, another solid day for the community. Now we shift gears into NFL primetime. Here's today's bankroll tip. Primetime games get more attention than anything else on the board. That means lines are sharper and casual money floods in on overs. Don't overextend just because it's the only game of the night. Stick to disciplined entries, target the strongest data-backed plays, and let the edge, not the hype, guide you. Let's get into today's plays. First, we're going to go with St. Brown, higher than 33.5 receiving yards in the first half. Now, one of the things I want to do before we do our usual line comparison and check what other major sports books and DFS platforms look like, I want to show you one of the most glaring data points before we go forward. So if we look at over here on the right, the Ravens and their receiving yard defense, specifically looking at the receiving yards allowed overall, and then specifically for receivers. First, overall, in the game, as a team, they allow 306 receiving yards a game so far this season. That is a league's worst, right? So at this point in the year, anytime you're looking at receiving yards for an opposing offensive player against the Ravens, especially like stars, you might want to target them at this point because right now the Ravens defense in terms of receiving yards is abysmal. Now, looking at receivers specifically, they're still bottom tier, allowing receiving yards for receivers 162, which is 21st in the league. Okay, so just wanted to point that out first before we move any forward in terms of why I'm looking at St. Brown's receiving yards. I'm also going to say that I do believe that the Ravens will run away with this one. I do believe this year the Ravens still have a better team than the Lions. And with the Lions' offensive struggles, especially, still adjusting to the loss of all their coordinators, I don't know if they'll have enough to continuously score as often as the Ravens can. However, if they're down early, that means that they're going to be passing a lot more as well. Which is why, another reason why we should be targeting these receivers. Now, if we look at St. Brown specifically for his first half receiving yards, we can see that this is the only platform right now that is offering this line. Okay, so we see that this is it. This is the only thing we can do for line comparison at the moment. But let's see why this is a solid play for this game. Now, on the year, there's only been 2 games. So you can see the last 10, including last year, he's gone above this line 7 out of 10 for a 70% rate and an average of 47.4 and a median of 48 first half receiving yards. Now, looking at just the last 2 games, which were division games, which are usually a lot more tougher to do this in, especially with them knowing that Amon-Ra is the top target. Didn't matter. Green Bay, who decimated the Lions, he still went above this line at 36. And then against the Bears, he went way over with 100 receiving yards in the first half. We can also see that he is getting an extensive amount of targets. He's averaging about 9 targets and 7.1 receptions. And we know that the Lions are a heavy pass first team. We can see that overall, he is getting the bulk of the target share. Align that with the receiving yards allowed from the Ravens, especially overall, and to receivers, this shows us that Amaran is definitely a no-sweat play for today in the first half, going over or going higher than 33.5 first half receiving yards. Our next play, before we go there, just a quick reminder, if you like this play, hit that like button and let me know your favorite Monday night pick down in the comments. Additionally, as always, all these plays, stats, matchup insights are straight from Outlier, my go-to tool for digging into hit rates, target shares, and defensive splits. If you want to level up your DFS research, the link is in the description. Outlier makes it simple. Next, we're going to go with Jared Goff going higher than 23.5 completions. Now, I just mentioned that I believe that the Ravens will dominate this game, which means that there's going to be a higher rate of passing for the Lions, which coincides with the choice of passing completions going over 23.5. Now we can see this play is at minus 159 on Underdog. DraftKings has it at minus 129 and minus 131. FanDuel all the way at minus 138. We can see that this has jumped a bit or dropped a bit. It went from 24.5 to now 23.5. I would still kind of like this play, even if it went back up to that 24.5, just because of the high passing rate that we'll see in this game, especially at near the end. There'll probably be some like quick check down plays, easy completions. Now, and you can see like right here in that Green Bay game when they were down for the bulk of the game means a lot more pass attempts, and in this game he had 31 passing completions. Now, the Chicago game, they were on the opposite end. They destroyed the Bears, and even so, he still had 23 passing completions. So imagine if this is a much closer game, or if they're on the opposite end of this, there's going to be more passes. So if we take that average between these two, it definitely puts us above that 23.5 line. Oh, we can also see, we talked about the Ravens' defense in terms of receiving yards allowed. We can also look at their defense in terms of pass completion percentage against and passing attempts against. They are averaging 47 pass attempts against, which is 31st in the league, bottom tier. And then passing completion percentage against, nearly 65%. So if he is going to throw around 47 passes in this game, that would mean he is going to go over that line that they have projected. He'll go higher than 23.5. Right? Because half of 23, but their averaging percentage is over 64.9, which means solid projections so far. Let's look at some more data to help back this up. We talked about the last two games, but we can also see that he is averaging about 38 passing attempts, and with those around 38 passing attempts, he is completing 27 of those passes for a 72% rate. You take that 72% completion percentage, combine that with that 65 completion percentage against, think about how many yards that the Ravens defense are allowing to receivers, and it increases the likelihood of this play cashing, especially knowing that the Detroit Lions are, as we can see here, a much more of a passing team than a running team. And if they get down early, that increases the likelihood. Additionally, one last piece of data to help with this projection is that Joe Flacco still kicking, still beating teams like he did yesterday with the Green Bay Packers. His first game, he had 25 passing completions. Josh Allen, whose line was at 19.5, had 33 passing completions. Take those two things in account, plus, again, this passing completion percentage against at 65.5. Jared Goff's completion percentage, which is 72%, all making this a pretty likely play of Jared Goff going higher than 23.5 passing completions. Quick reminder, subscribe if you haven't already, of course, so you can get these daily videos every day. But you want to make sure, if you want to take these plays and truly build your role, you want to make sure you are taking the bonus money when it's out there. Betr is giving a free $10 plus up to a $200 bonus on your first deposit. You'll also get a Lamar Jackson free pick, where he only needs to have one passing yard to win. Pair that with any of the plays from today, bankroll builder. Or, if you don't have Underdog, you can play $5 and get $50 in bonus funds. Plus, they'll give you a Lamar Jackson gimme pick, which all he has to do, similar to Betr, is get one passing or rushing yard, and his play with cash. And seeing as these plays that I am choosing are coming from Underdog, pair them with that gimme pick. Easy way to use or build to your bonus funds that they already give you. For Underdog, use code LOB when you sign up. And for Betr, use code DIME when you sign up. If you sign up for either of these apps, send me a screenshot to picksenrolldfs@gmail.com and you'll get a free month in my premium winnable, where you will get plays sent directly to your phone every single day. That's MLB, NFL, college football, in October, NBA, the current WNBA playoffs. You'll get all those picks, all those plays directly to your phone. No work on your end. You just build the role. All right, our last play for today is going to be Lamar Jackson going higher than 1.5 passing touchdowns. We can see that all of the major sports books and DFS platforms are largely favoring this play, as FanDuel has this at minus 188, Caesars at minus 209, BetMGM at minus 210, Hard Rock at 210, DraftKings all the way at minus 211. We can see that the Lions passing touchdown defense is ranked 25th, which is in the bottom tier of the league, averaging exactly what we want, that 2 touchdowns per game. We can also see Lamar Jackson over his last 10, including just the 2 games of this season, has had 2 and 4 respectively in terms of touchdowns. Cleveland was an onslaught, 41-17, and he still scored 4 passing touchdowns. Then the first game of the year, which was for the most part the Derrick Henry show, he still was able to get that 2 touchdowns. And you can see if we look at all the last 10, all we see is green in comparison to this projection of 1.5. Then we can also go below and look at Detroit and the 2 teams that they played this year. Both Caleb Williams and Jordan Love had projections of 1.5, and each went above for 2 touchdowns. Taking all of these insights in mind, my projection that the Ravens will come away with an easy win makes this line very probable of Lamar Jackson going higher than 1.5 passing touchdowns. So here's the Monday Night Football card. We have Amon-Ra St. Brown going higher than 33.5 first half receiving yards. Jared Goff going higher than 23.5 completions. And Lamar Jackson going higher than 1.5 passing touchdowns. Drop your favorite plays for tonight in the comments. Smash that like button and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the daily picks. Links for Betr, Underdog, Outlier, and Pikkit are down below. Send me your sign-up screenshots to get a free month in VIP. And as always, let's build that roll.